He says he met me that night, but I don't remember it. And then it was the year I was graduating from high school. It was 1916. By that time I was 17. And one day, my sister and I were home on a Saturday, and the phone rang, a wall telephone that you cranked, you know. And Frances went and answered the telephone, and by that time she was dating young men in town, but I wasn't. And I was going with some of the high school boys to high school things, and sometimes they would walk out to the ranch and we'd go down on the creek or something, but I wasn't dating, going to parties or anything, going to Christian Endeavor parties, but always with Frances and her date. And the phone rang, and Frances turned from the phone and she said, "It's Don Geary, and he wants to know if he and Hilliard Comstock can come out to call." And I said, "Who's Hilliard Comstock?" And she said, "He says he met you at the Maddox barn dance, when they had their big barn dance." And I said, "Well, I don't remember him." And she said, "Well, I'm going to tell Don they can come." So they came to call. And I wasn't much impressed. He lacked a month, being 8 years older than I, and I liked the kids around. And a week or so later, they called up and invited us to the Hyacinthian Dance. That was a club of young men who formed in town to have parties and dances and things down here at the, it's a ballroom that's, no, I think this one was at the Saturday Afternoon Club, which is right down here. So I was quite excited about that, and somehow we managed to find some material, and with my mother's help I made a little dress to wear, a little silk dress, and they came out and took us to the dance, and had a good time. And a week later they called up, and they'd borrowed an old Ford car from my husband's brother-in-law, and they wanted to take us on a picnic. And they went to the Occidental Hotel and had box lunches fixed, and we went on a picnic up to Petrified Forest. We have pictures of that. And that's when it all began. And it went kind of fast from there. That was 1916, and of course they had to be sent down to Arizona to chase Pancho Villa, the Mexican bandit, you know. And they were sent first up to the... they were mustered into the Army, the National Guard. My husband was in the National Guard. He was captain of it. And the National Guard was sent up to Pug on the Feather River up in the Sierra to guard railroad bridges, because they thought the Mexicans were going to bomb them or something. And they were having a grand time up there on the Feather River, and wrote and wanted my sister and me to come up. One of the sergeants in my husband's company had a girlfriend by the name of Elva Howell, who was a friend of ours, and her mother was going up and take her. And she was going to stay at the Feather River Inn. So Hilliard and Don thought they'd get Frances and me up there. And, oh, you should have seen my mother. We certainly weren't going chasing two soldiers. No, we couldn't go. So we didn't go. And then he came home. He went down to Arizona and was chasing Pancho Villa around the mesquite down there, and had a lot of interesting experiences down there. And then that whole thing blew over, of course, and came back and went back to his law practice. And by that time I was in San Jose at school, so I didn't see much of him. We really didn't have many dates before we were married. Most of our courting was done by mail. And,
was he a good writer?
Beautiful, just beautiful. Mm-hmm.